everyone. Welcome to Empower Your Voice, which is a series I've started doing here on Substack Live because I want to talk about our voices, whether that is how you express yourself on the outside, your inner voice and how you listen into that, how we build confidence in sharing our voices. I think I'm at the very start of the journey of having these conversations. So you're here with me as I explore this idea. And today I've welcomed Tanya to the conversation, and we're going to talk about journaling. Hello to those of you joining us live. Before we delve into the chat, I wanted to share with you that me and Tanya are going to be hosting a retreat day together. End of September, so 26th of September, Blueprint Your Season is a retreat day to get you to, I think the main thing is put yourself to the top of your to-do list, come and have a really creative day with me hosting you, filled with creativity, a little bit of nature, to tune into what's going on beneath the surface and bring it to the forefront so that you can create a plan for the coming months. So it will be for that lovely end of year, the new year vibe of coming back after the school holidays and into September and planning to take you forward through to the end of the year. So that's that. Let us know if you have any questions about that. And welcome, Tanya. I actually just spent the morning journaling. I took myself to a cafe that I like here where I live in Leighton Buzzard, and it was a full moon, I think, yesterday. And I actually used ChatGPT to give me some journal prompts based on my birth chart. And it was really interesting. But it's I do journal a lot, but it was one of those ones where I really sat down and focused on a particular, I suppose, idea or thought. So I'd love to hear about you and maybe what you define as therapeutic journaling, because I know that's what you call it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that's great to hear. And I'm thrilled that you're taking journaling seriously. I think this is a sign of the times where a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need a Zen den and a candle and peace and quiet. You can actually take your journal to a busy cafe. You can do it while you're on public transport or even waiting for the school gates to open. And that's one of my mantras, is that, it's even if it's just one word, one day at a time, it's the consistency that you are trying to adopt a journaling practice. So the therapeutic side of journaling, I've really embedded into everything that I do around my life and my work. And it really goes back to pandemic days when I was really struggling to deal with the fact that I had to pivot my business again, because being in the event management business, back then Zoom was just kind of, kicking into gear. And I just couldn't imagine hosting something that's so beautiful in a live, on a live platform, on a digital platform. So, I was really, I probably was broken because for those that have been following my journey, I've had quite a colourful roller coaster of a life, through heartache and bankruptcy, losing businesses, leaving a massive corporate job, earning big bucks, and, starting all over again and again and again. So I'd always been interested in writing, but not really taking journaling seriously, kind of confused with the Dear Diary and, getting a bit bored and lost with the whole, oh, my day's a bit shit again. Oh, I've met this. It was really low level, descriptive diarizing. So when I was looking into different practices of therapeutic journaling, and it was mainly in the States, there is with their light years ahead of us with regards to the practice being certified, and there's a lot of studies. There's an amazing amount of professors that have done certain papers on the benefits, the well-being benefits of therapeutic journaling. And James Pennybaker is one chap particularly that I've followed, and he's written some great books about how having this therapy through the written work can help boost our health and well-being. So typical of me, between the morning pages with Julia Cameron and those that are more in the scientific realm of therapeutic journaling, I kind of broke the rules, and I could see that, because I'm very much undiagnosed ADHD, that I couldn't keep to a certain way of keeping a consistent practice. And I felt quite a failure, and it really frustrated me. And I was classing myself as quite a quitter. But I was like, there's got to be a way. And I think this is where, whenever anybody comes to me saying, I've struggled with morning pages, that's journaling, that's not for me, or I've tried to do something a little bit more templated and I can't fit it into my life, or I'm worried someone's going to read it, I just say to them, try one word, one day at a time.
Mhm.
And over time, our curious minds will lend ourselves to writing more than a word. It may over time become a sentence, then a paragraph, and before you know it, this habit, which I would rather now describe as an experiment, this experiment of writing on a daily basis, you will be surprised at what patterns show up for you. So I can talk till I'm blue in the face about what is therapeutic journaling. And that's why I have programs and workshop series, because it's not answerable in just 20
Yeah.
minutes. But,
Yeah.
I have witnessed women primarily come through divorce, the other end of their cancer treatment, lacking purpose because now, they've got to midlife and their children have left to go on from university, and it's pretty much empty nest situation, that they have used the practice of therapeutic journaling as a springboard to reignite what it was that was in them before all the stuff, these life curveballs happened to them. And it's profound. They are saying that journaling has changed their life.
Yeah.
And that I'm just the stabilizer. I'm just holding space.
Mm.
I'm giving them different techniques and options, because I do use a variety of techniques, which, it's about tempo. And I think this is why we will work well together on this retreat, because I think with the music and rhythm, it's the same with the therapeutic journaling. You do
Yeah.
tempo.
Yeah, and I love, I'm glad you mentioned about saying that you suggest doing just a word a day, because I've seen you talk about that and it's encouraged me to keep showing up for it. Because I think I've seen in my workshops that I run with people, sometimes people are panicked, like, oh God, you want me to write something? And I always just say, okay, I'm going to give you a prompt, just write whatever comes. You've got to be curious and very open. But I suppose it's that fear of what are we going to find on the insides of ourselves that we're not showing to the outer world, that we're not sharing with people. And I think that's why I really wanted to talk to you about this in this series, because I think it's such a great tool for listening in and hearing our inner voice. And so often, if we can connect with that, we're able to move forward, whether it's a tiny step or taking a really bold step, because we've connected with what's true to us and what's really there. And you can feel so much more confident in making decisions, or sharing something that really matters to you, or whether it's in relationships and being able to articulate yourself. So yeah, it's just wonderful hearing you speak about it. I wonder what your view is on how important it is to listen in to our inner voices.
Well, I mean, when I'm coaching, I work a lot with the health sector, so a lot of GPs that want to learn about how to educate their patients on using therapeutic journaling, but they also found that, gosh, they needed the practice themselves. A lot of NHS workers now are, leaning into more written therapy than talking therapy. And then another group of people that I've been working closely with are librarians. And it was fascinating when I was giving them the time, the space, the opportunity to actually just finish a sentence down, which is a favorite of mine. And it's basically, today I feel ... And the majority, both doctors, health practitioners, librarians, teachers, there's almost like a hesitation, because one, they haven't ever given themselves the time or the space to actually check in with themselves, to actually realize, how do I feel today? Because a lot of us are really masking. We're on automatic pilot. We're having to serve so many tasks, a to-do list, the family, the work-life scenario, that there isn't really time to go, no, not how am I feeling? How am I really feeling? What I've found, and it's talking from experience, is that with the journal, you find that you get a dialogue with yourself. You are basically holding up a mirror. Now, I've always said that the Tanya on the page, I, I absolutely adore her. She's wise, she's confident, she doesn't have any self-esteem issues. You know, she's proud and she's lived a life. Now, the Tanya here, who's trying to reflect onto the page, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I have a dilemma about. I'm really not sure. I'm going over the same naysayer chat and I'm pretty bored. You know, these two women, effectively the same person, meet and they're having, and I'm like, you know, Tang, you have the answers. You really, if you just tune in to not only your inner voice, but your gut. You know, how many of us go through our 20s, 30s, not listening to our gut, you know, and I think this is it when we arrive, and I'm talking from experience because I'm 50. I'm like, God damn it. If only I'd listened to my gut.
Yeah.
Then when I had that big, huge life decision, you know, hindsight's a great thing, but this is what I'm saying about, you know, I'm really trying over the years to bring these two Tanyas together to be this, powerhouse of a woman that just doesn't walk around with imposter syndrome anymore.
Yeah. And I'm interested then with that critical voice, because I've definitely done work, and because of the work I do with other people, but done work around using the journal to explore the critic a bit more. So I've done some work around characterizing that so that I can recognize a bit of separation. Do you have any tips around noticing who's the true gut instinct person and who's the sort of noisy in your head person?
Yeah, there's a few techniques that I use in my programs, and there's one called the list of 100. So when you're kind of overwhelmed with too many thoughts, it's a great exercise to say, right, what's causing me frustration or overwhelm? And basically, you try and list the amount of reasons, excuses, things associated with that thought process, and you don't allow for any judgment, any editing. And what tends to happen, you really don't get to 100. I said, once you're really seasoned at doing this and practiced it over, months, you can probably get over 50. But what tends to happen as well, maybe what you wrote at number 2 will show up again at number 14. But you're just to almost brain dump, what you think is causing this frustration and overwhelm. But you can, on the flip side as well, you can sit there and go, 100 things that bring me joy, 100 things that I would really like to lean into and be brave about. Because at the end of the day, these thoughts are just like aeroplanes waiting to land. And you just then, as soon as you're maybe going, oh, I'll let this plane land and I'll deal with it. And it's like, Mom, where's my pasta?
Yeah.
And, it's over. So, I mean, that there is an element of journaling, therapeutic journaling, where it's using the side of the brain that is not being an inner critic. Another good technique is writing with your non-dominant hand.
Yes.
Because then you are tapping into, whole 100% focus of how do I neatly get this word out, and you're not thinking of anything else about, oh God, look at your grammar there, oh, how dare you write that, who do you think you are putting that down? So I mean, there are real tips and tricks of this practice that can allow you to sit with something that's not really going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm too much of a critic on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting how, as we've spoken, we've moved, like when you said, oh, there's all these aeroplanes, it's very much here in the head. And which talked about gut instinct and it being down here. It's like, how do we connect with that heart space and it being very much led by how we truly feel rather than the noise that's up here. And so I was just thinking about prompts. So you've obviously sent that list idea. There's stems and there's all different ways to prompt yourself. How would you know how do you know what to go to on any given day? Because I find sometimes I'll just write freely, but you're right, I then would come back to I feel quite a lot of pain in my body, the kids this and all the noisy things. But if I want to make progress or decide on something or sort of shift something, I think having a prompt is really helpful. So how do we know what to go to on any given day?
Well, there's a technique that I use called the micro movement. And basically, it's you think of 3 words very quickly, you write them down, you select one word, your eye will be drawn to a certain word or it'll pop off the page. And then for 2 minutes, you literally write as much as you can about that word. Where does it show up in your life? Is it a familiar word? Is it an activating word? Is it positive, negative? Why do you think you chose that word? And one of my techniques, some of the students are like, no, not this one again. And it's get everyone to write for the 2 minutes without taking the pen off the page. And they will be like, oh, my hand's aching. And I'm like, yes, again, it's a physical experience and we need to work through it. But if they find that they run out of a descriptive sentence, that they can write the word over and over on repeat, or they can write, I really don't know how to write, I'm really stuck. Why am I stuck? And then again, that will springboard you into going down an avenue and being more descriptive. So then people were going, I can't even think of 3 words. I've said, well, if you've done one micro movement, you could look at what you've written. You may have written 100 words in sentence form, highlight 5, 7 of some positive words. They become your micro movements for the next 7 days. So I've got another technique also where if you find that you're going to become quite the naysayer version of yourself on the first few paragraphs of your journaling practice, on the opposite page, try and flip the script. So if you're, say, going, I've got this pain, this niggle, it's always, here, and then flip the script on going, well, what are you doing about it? What is your body trying to tell you? Why are you ignoring it? Why are you suppressing it or compartmentalizing this? The body does keep the score on it. Or if it was something about, your friend hasn't texted you back and you're like, well, if I don't text her, is she ever gonna, connect back with me? And then go flip the script. What happens if your friend is poorly? What happens if your friends had some really bad news? So again, us getting out the inner critic, the naysayer mindset to actually have, again, effectively dialogue as if, you would have a friend sat by you going, well, it's not all what we think. We have to go into someone else's shoes. And by creating that dialogue between the two of you, obviously it's the one of you, it's so enlightening to see what comes on the page.
Yeah, because I think people, if they haven't done a lot of journaling, might think, okay, well, this is a solo practice and I'm alone. Like it's quite lonely. But actually, having that dialogue, you're creating sort of a mirror back or a bounce back and a bit of a soundboard. So it's lovely to see that people are watching live. Let us know if you have any questions. I'm just asking you all the questions. I was going to ask you another thing. So tell us about how people can interact with you if they want to join in on some journaling. I know you do Rage on a Page, which I just love that title. But if you tell us a bit about what you've got coming up.
Okay, well, retreats are going quiet now over summer holidays, so I pick those back up in September with yourself on the 26th. So I've got quite a lot of online programs, and there's something on practically every week. So I've got this lovely Journal with Ease Lunchtime Club, which is a gentle guided 45 minutes where there's a group of lovely women and I give you the prompts, and then the magic happens when those that are bold and brave enough to share what actually showed up on the page. And there's a glow within the room, and that's just 45 minutes of a lunchtime. And then I take the journaling to another level with Rage on a Page. It's usually an 8-week deep dive into how to channel our emotions into something more positive and creative. So those that are maybe wanting to use rage as fuel to ignite a project, write a book, get involved in the community some way, leave a toxic relationship. So that's usually 8 weeks. But over the summer, I'm doing an express 2 weeks so people can dip their toe into. And then I've got a 4-week Journal with Ease foundational course, which again will cover probably 14 different therapeutic journaling techniques. And the last time I did it, I had a chap join from North Carolina, and he was a veteran from the Vietnam War. He'd always kept a diary, and he's in his 70s, had been forced to retire for the third time. And he just wanted to fill his time and fill his journal with memories and open his eyes a bit wider to what he was experiencing in his elder years. And it was so beautiful just to, one, to check in with a guy that wanted to do journaling, and the difference in his, because he was so shy at the beginning, thinking, oh my God, what the lady's going to think, are they going to want this on it? And you know what, we as a group just so gelled, and we were fascinated with his stories. And even his wife was like, Toby, are you still journaling? You're taking this really seriously. And it even improved, their conversations over fascinating. So, it's a privilege really to host these programs.
And I think something that just lit me up when you said it was being in the room together. I think, we're talking about how we're tuning in to ourselves and how we're noticing what we're feeling and thinking. But by doing that, we're able to connect with other people. And that's the beautiful thing about your retreats as well, is just being in the room alongside other people that you're going to have shared interests and values with. And it's so enriching to allow yourself or give yourself permission to show up for that sort of thing and that sort of day and just put yourself first. I'm really intrigued about the courses. They sound great. So do people book on, or is it part of your Substack offering? How do people join?
The Lunchtime Club, for all paid subscribers on my Substack, they get automatic free entry. So that's every Thursday, bar if I'm away on holiday or hosting a retreat. And then all the other courses are on my Stan Store. I am such a tech dinosaur, but I love Stan Store. So it's almost like a little online shop, and you can put, I put my one-to-one coaching links in there. I've got digital downloads. So if you wanted to just dip your toe into how to journal, that I've got a guide there for about $5. So yes, there are a variety of different courses that you can.
I'll link everything in the post with this afterwards, and I'm looking forward to our retreat. So if anyone wants to know more about Blueprint Your Season on the 26th of September, let us know, just message and we'll send you all the information. Thank you so much, Tanya.
As always, the 20 minutes flies, but I'll hopefully be writing a Substack, interviewing Tommy about, how we connected. She was a guest on one of our retreats back, was it last year? Was it?
Yeah, last September.
Blimey, how time flies. Yes, that should be an interesting read. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Love doing a live with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya. And bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
See you soon.
Bye.